Good afternoon, Army. I hope you are doing well and great and are really prepping for a great holiday season. But here from the Adjutant General's office, we are doing Tag Talks Episode 7, which is really focused all about IPPS-A and really the last year of IPPS-A as we roll onto what is really the first anniversary of the system going live for the entire Army. So that key date is 20 December. We went live 20 December last year. So we're at our 1-year anniversary now. And we thought it would be a good topic to really talk to two of the ladies that I think are probably the most important and knowledgeable folks in the Army when it comes to IPPS-A. And that, of course, is probably no shocker to folks listening. Colonel Becky Lust from the IPPS-A program, and then here in the tag, it's Chief Martinez, Chief Maria Martinez, my CW5, who I call the ninja of IPPS-A. Anyway, great to have you here, ladies.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Becky, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into some questions, and maybe we'll hot wash a little bit of this first year and then talk about where we're headed.
Yes, sir. So as you said, here at the program, I've been at the IPPS-A program for just about 2.5 years now. I spent my first 2 years as the deputy for the Functional Management Division before taking over as the director this summer in July. Before that, career HR professional, AG officer, 23 plus years. Was a Division G1, the Tropic Lightning. So, fully on board and supporting this major change for the Army, and happy to say that, IPPS-A is working and providing the 1.1 million soldiers a platform to use as their HR weapon system of choice.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us today and talking through where we're at and what's taken place over the last year. Chief, give us a little background. I know a lot of folks know you already.
Well, sir, yes, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad to people know you. But yeah, so Chief Warrant Officer Advisor to the Adjutant General, you, and of course all the divisions within the directorate and anybody who calls and asks for advice. About 28 years of experience in the AG arena, HR professional. I like my job. I love my job. I like taking care of soldiers. And we had this another little podcast a few years ago when I moved from Forces Command to 5th Corps and then from 5th Corps here to HRC. We had a little podcast and we were still joking about from the beginning, like Chief Hickman, we were fighting who was the oldest one, right? Blast from the past. We were talking about zippers and email post, zippers 2.7, the green box, and we went through all those machines. So, and I was actually skeptical about going live.
Say it
Remember,
ain't true,
we talked
Chief.
about it, right? We were skeptical, and it's like I really, before I retire, I wanted to see IPPS-A go live, and luckily I did, last year, 20 December, you were enjoying a nice meal with the rest of the directorate while I was down there cranking access requests, right, with a few other warrant officers. But we got casualty, we got promotions, everybody was on board before the end of the year, and we got them all access. So it was good. It was a quick learning experience, but I'm extremely happy that I got to see a 4th or 5th system live.
Yeah.
But I think this is great. We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it's been a few systems for sure, and I remember that day particularly. And for those that are out there, most I'm the Tag 63, the Adjutant General, and I'm very humbled to have this awesome job and awesome responsibility for the Army. But in my previous life, I was essentially the job that Becky Lust is doing right now, as the director of IPPS-A for a few years, 2016 to 21. But who's counting? So a lot of work leading up to go live. and a lot of trials and tribulations as that journey took place. But nevertheless, a good group and solid citizens across the Army helped us, get the system out. But it really took, at least Release 3, it took until last year, 2022, December 20th, to roll it out to the Army, all 3 components. Before that, we were successful getting the Guard onto it, but in December of last year, we got all 3 components moving in the same direction on the same system. But yeah, always a little bit of skepticism, if that's a word, from folks out there as we were planning and prepping and doing all the work to get it done. And I just remember having a celebration, on the 20th, little champagne here and there, a lot of great folks, a lot of hard work. But I do appreciate you being in the bowels at the command center as we went live to make sure everything kind of worked. And I know, Becky, your team was doing the same thing, right?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. I mean, we had a bit of a celebration and we had some cake, but it lasted about 10 minutes before it's like, okay, everyone kind of back to your battle stations and make sure everything goes okay. Start working access requests like Chief Martinez was doing. The team was definitely doing all those things here.
Yeah, you were the deputy at that point, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
yes.
Where were you? Were you in the bowels? Did you just take that piece of cake and then, run back to, let me make sure that the workflow is working?
Did you taste the cake, ma'am?
I did taste the cake, and then I was back at my office just like, okay, how's it going to go? And then we got first notification that things were starting to crash. We crashed the public website within 10 minutes of go live because everyone was going there to find the link to IPPS-A.
That's right.
IPPS-A itself was working just fine, but the public-facing website, we weren't expecting quite as many hits, so then it was like, okay, StratCom team, talking with Major Gillens and the team, we've got to get messaging out there to point people to the link that's directly to IPPS-A versus the public website, and then figure out how to get that website working.
Yeah, Becky, it's funny that you say that. My big fear when I was, over on your side of the team was about, we would put, 150,000 people into IPPS off the app, and then the thing wouldn't work at all. And that's not what happened. We instead, people throttled the website, which did kind of crash.
Yes, sir.
So it was like not good for the website, but good for the system.
Great news for IPPS-A because it was working. It was just that website was a little challenged.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's a little bit of a hiccup, and I know we want to cover a little bit about what didn't go well, but let's start with the, top 5 of what you think went well. And what has gone well over the year, not just that first week, but what you think over this last year, what's gone well. So Becky, you go first. Just tell me, hey, top 5, go quick.
Okay, the mobile accessibility, we've had 380,000 different downloads of our mobile app. The virtual S1 we set up with the customer relationship management, over 250,000 cases processed this year. Automation, so much easier to have everything strictly in IPPS-A. Thinking just awards, for example, IPPS-A's platform allowed the field to process over 600,000 awards inside IPPS-A this year alone. All of them immediately to iPerms. No multiple touching of the document, so you could, upload to iPerms. For our pay processing, the limited pay that we do process, we've processed more than 2.5 million pay transactions and an accuracy rate that's up over 99%. And then top for me would be transparency. Yeah. Just providing excellent transparency to soldiers in the field. Where are their personal actions requests and visibility that they didn't have in the past because they didn't actually touch the HR weapon system. They had to go to a S1 to do that in the past.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's 6. I think she just gave me 6.
Oh, yeah, I counted
I
only
think
5,
she took
sir.
one of mine
Mine's
too.
a double counted one.
It's okay. It's okay. Top 6. Okay, Chief. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, go.
All right. So transparency, that's one of the things that Colonel Oz mentioned. So the transparency and accountability, as we mentioned, we can't lose that paperwork anymore. So it used to be where you go to your S1, and sometimes we accidentally, Private Martinez lost your paperwork. So, but now you can, as a soldier, you can view, you can track it, you can initiate your transaction. We can't lose it because we cannot delete it. It's there. Once you submit it, it's there for you. But my favorite top 5 is basically the absence request part. Just quick story, it's going to be real quick, sir. Few months before we went live, I had a pay issue where the finance accidentally recorded my leave as excess. So needless to say, it took about 3 months, 2 to 3 months to get that fixed. That affected my pay, my BAS, and my BAH. So it affected all my pay. So it took a while. But now, since then, I put my leave, my absence request, it gets approved, and the next day I can see it in my LES. So I really love the absence request part. Then the other one is improve the soldier's experience. And also, all users have the power to provide feedback, to drive change in system. That's what we call it, the CRM, the Customer Relationship Management. So if you actually, when you submit a ticket, you can actually tell us what is wrong, what you don't agree with the answer. If you know the policy, you can submit it. It tells you, did we answer your question? If not, you can submit it back. It's almost, and any ticket that comes here to the HRC level, you usually will get an answer within 24 hours. So I think the speed that we can answer, it has been enormous. And did I get that 4 or 5?
Keep
okay.
going.
Okay,
Keep going.
I got one more.
You can
So,
cheat too, just like
one-stop system. So to view the personal pay is one soldier, one record, right? In 2018, we actually had a big run, and we had to complete 180 miles in 30 days. Did you complete that, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Remember
I did
that?
that. That was Mr. Betancourt.
Yes.
Idea fun. I did that.
So I got my T-shirt for that. One record.
Big medal too.
Yeah, we got the one. It's all in one. So no longer we have to go to all the system, and I'm going to mention it, Milpo, EDAS, Thomas, DG. Well, we still got DGMS, right? But you have to check 4, 5, 6 different systems to get one answer. Now, the majority of the answers are in IPPS-A.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
one
You're gonna have to wear that T-shirt here on a Tag Friday.
Okay, I'm going to do that, sir.
Yeah.
But I got my T-shirt in 2018, sir.
Okay. I mean that's a little while ago. I am glad the system is on the street. Okay, so you cheated too. I counted 6 there. Let me take it up a notch. I'll say a couple of things. For me, it's the strategic opportunity of the system. And what I mean is that, hey, the Army was never going to get auditable, meaning they could tell you exactly what happened to drive pay or to drive an HR action. And if you're in the HR world, or you've been in the Army for the last 20 years, or just coming on the Army, you know what I'm talking about. That, old 4187, old DA Form 31, old personnel action was generally done on a hard copy form, and it was sent via email, and there was no traceability, no nothing. And so you never knew how many leave forms were processing, really, because some inevitably would get lost. Same thing with your action. It would be printed and put in a blue folder and go through 7 people, and somehow the folder would be misplaced. And so all of that made a very inefficient system that was hard to give any kind of status on. So that, number one, IPPS-A is going to provide that auditability where, hey, we just don't lose actions or pay actions or leave forms anymore. It's in the system. And that gets us to a congressionally mandated requirement, is be able to tell Congress and others, this is how we pay everybody. And here's the documents that link to that pay. So that's a requirement, and the system will allow us to get there. We have not passed an audit in the Army, and so that's super, super important long-term for the Army. The second is, we're going to slowly but surely take down all of those other HR systems that that Chief kind of mentioned, but there's others that are required in today's world, right, to use to do HR, deployments, et cetera. It's going to all be in IPPS-A or tied to IPPS-A. And that will help us tremendously, not only just from hey, I'm going to do work, and I'm only going to do work in one spot. You're also going to be able to control the data and make sure the data is correct. Because once we get it correct fully in IPPS-A, and a little bit of coming near you soon is a data correctness campaign, it allows you to focus, right? You're going to focus in IPPS to correct the data. You don't have to focus in 7 systems. You really need to focus in one system. So that makes it really important for the Army. The third thing is, hey, everybody's in the same system. We've actually never done that before. So that's a little bit of history on the HR side. Hey, you got everyone in one system. Now you can start to standardize all the actions. Because not only did you have 3 HR systems in the Army for each component, but everybody did things differently. Hey, the Guard did it the Guard way, the Reserves did it the Reserve way, the AGR did it the AGR way, Chief Warrant Officers did it their way. Now you got one system. Hey, we're going to do it the Army way. And we're going to do promotions the same way. We're going to do actions the same way. We're going to do awards the same way. And for so many reasons, that's so good, right? That is so good for our soldiers and for the Army that it is really, really a good and great thing that we got there. And then you guys talked about the transparency. Hey, soldiers these days want to interact. Yes. And, CRM and PARs in the system allow you to interact. So for us, it was really important to put out a mobile phone capability and make sure it's on both government and private, your own commercial phone or iPad or laptop. It was so important to us to allow that access into the system because we know that we got to facilitate soldiers getting in and doing their work and then having that interaction with the S1 via CRM or all the way even with HRC, via the PAR framework. Really important for Gen Z and folks coming after Gen Z. And so we think that's a massive win. I think that's a massive win. And then there's probably 100 more that I can talk about. But I'm going to stop there. I think that was 5. If not, you guys cheated, so I think we're covered.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you guys want to highlight big?
No, but I do want to, because you throw a little punch to the warrant officer, sir. I want to make sure that we understand that at one point also the officers and enlisted, also the transactions were inputted different, right? And then the warrant officer, nobody knew what to do with the warrant officer, so we did our own thing. But, for the officers, primary example, how to update your degree, right? Before or currently, you have to send it to this person, and then they bounce around because nobody knew who's supposed to update your degree in TOPMES. And then for the enlisted, the S1 could do it. So it was also officers and enlisted did their own thing. So it wasn't just the warrants. The warrants did our own thing because, we had to take care of each other.
True.
So I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah, everybody did their own thing. I think that's really where I'm going. Acknowledge. Hey, in what world do you have like a separate system for enlisted soldiers versus officers? But that was the United States Army.
Yes.
Yes. And we did that way for a long time. And then to top it, you had a separate transactional system for other things. And it's just like, okay, keep up, Army. Try to keep up.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And even as you mentioned, like the other compos, like how is it that we weren't able to provide our Army senior leaders the ability to have a report that showed the entire Army, Guard, Reserve, and active component? So it was years past needing that.
Yeah. No, I agree. And one of the maybe implied things with getting all 3 components in, and we got a lot of policy that we got to work through, but also the permeability of the force ends up being really important. If you're in one system, you're kind of running all the same processes. Now it's a little easier to let me take, Chief Martinez and transition her to AGR or the reserves. The system will allow us to do that a lot easier and cleaner. And then as pay comes along, then you'll actually be able to control the pay scenario much better than we do today. But let's talk about a little of the things that or a few of the things that we know we should maybe have done a little better, or some of the hiccups that we had. Because, right, this hasn't been a perfect delivery, in my opinion. It's been a pretty solid and good delivery for the Army. However, right, there's always things with these big ERP systems, HR systems that get tricky, and then you got to deal with it. Becky, you want to highlight a couple things that you think we could have done better, or mucked us up right at the beginning?
Yes, sir. So I'm going to pull, earlier you mentioned a little bit about hesitancy. I know a couple of the areas all link back into that. I think that we could have done better on training the force, but also on the change management effort, because we had a lot of, I was here the whole time as the team had to make the hard decisions as we went through testing to recommend to the G1 and to the acquisition community and, the chief and the secretary that we needed to shift the go live date. But as we shifted the go live date, that got more hesitancy. So I think that, not nearly enough focus put on the training and the change management. The products were probably, the new equipment training fielding, maybe the products could have been easier to use. We could have emphasized more on the operational training environments that we had available for people to do hands-on training. I think, we definitely could have done better with some of those training, and then just the change management. This is a new system. Should not be trying to do stuff the way it always was done. There's business process maps and re-engineering. We went through a pretty elaborate process there, but probably didn't necessarily always get down to the unit level and the operator to ask them, what exactly are you doing? Because as you've all mentioned already, every MPD you went to, every installation you go to, everyone has their way of doing something, and it's all slightly different. And so when you're trying to make a system to do a new task, it gets very confusing very quickly.
Yeah, no kidding. This has been probably the hardest thing to do. Again, my perspective, Becky, but you said it first. How do you level set the 1 million person Army with all these different entities and all these different ways of doing it into one clean way, with the implementation of a new system? And that's really hard. I think the team attacked it pretty hard, but it's just so difficult. And my 2 cents is, hey, we're still working our way out of that, where we're really still setting some process in some places that hey, we're going to get through it here actually pretty soon. But and again, leading into what are we doing in 2024, it's a little bit of that, and it's a little bit of reinforcement training across the force with S1s, with MPDs, and other key actors in different spots.
Well, I just want to add to it, because that was my number one. It was the passive training, right? You already mentioned, Colonel Laws, ma'am. We did have the training products that were out there where the quality wasn't very exciting, let's put it this way. It wasn't very good. So me personally, I did a lot of passive learning, because it was very boring looking at those screens just flip. There was nothing, right? So it was a lot of passive learning, but again, I thought I had it, but then something is like, I don't remember how to do this, because again, it was all passive learning, watching this PowerPoints move from one screen to the other one. But I think your team, just to give you credit, ma'am, you adapted pretty quick. Because you posted job aids right away. Some people learn by reading words. Some people learn by watching little pictures. So those job aids help a lot. for the people who don't like to actually read the words, they just like the job aids, which has the little screenshots and the pictures. And then you got some of us that like to just kind of like listen and watch somebody else do it, right? You do it, I do it. So your team also posted a lot of YouTube videos. So your team did an excellent job on quickly going over all the other trainings, and then they were added to it. I think you call it the IPPS-A replays. They were
IPPS-A
out there.
replays.
Yeah.
Yes, Chief.
And they
learn how to do a function in under 4 minutes.
Yeah, that one. I like those because sometimes when I was stuck in something, I'm like, I know I saw that replay somewhere. So I went to YouTube and I'm like, oh, shoot.
I like the
and I
coffee
got it.
talks the best, but that's just me.
Well,
The
that's
Coffee
a different
Talks,
type
the
of
new
learning,
season
sir.
of Coffee Talks is underway, sir. So there are new Coffee Talks coming.
Yeah,
and,
you know.
and there's new replay videos coming also, Chief,
Yeah.
to your point. So the team, I clearly did not make those videos. You don't see my mug on the IPPS-A replays, but, we interact with all the people in the field, give us good
Yeah.
ideas on what they need to learn about. So then the team puts it together and provides the product.
And I don't want to. I think, Chief, you're being very open about, hey, I didn't necessarily get the most out of the delivered training tied to the system. Check. I think we hear a lot of that. And then, Becky, I think we can't underline enough the team's ability to flex really quickly to then do lots of different types of training that would essentially, fill a gap that we saw with the original training. So.
Yes, sir.
I just think that's so.
Yeah.
You guys were so awesome in that shift. It made a good out of maybe a not so good. And again, we're just hot washing, right? We're doing a little AAR here on the Tag Talks for all that are listening. So a lot of kudos to you. Moving into 2024, this reinforcement training, I think what I've asked folks to really chew on is how we deliver the training. Meaning, hey, do the training for the MPD clerk that's doing orders or the transition actions or the in-processing. Or if you're at the accessioning base and you're doing the IET leave forms, let me walk you through training on how you do that versus have the overarching, hey, this is how the promotion system works or this is how this works. I think we'll earn back a lot of efficiency if we approach our reinforcement training in those ways. And I know we've asked the schoolhouse to really zero in and execute both IPPS-A as well as mill pay training in those terms.
Yes, sir.
I need to do a military pay transaction for, I don't know, family separation pay. Okay, this is the way you do it. Here's the 3 forms that need to go with it, and then this is how you execute it and who you give that action to. So I think that's a bit of a pivot, but it's really nested in how you guys changed how you were doing training.
Yes, sir. And just so you know, after the meeting we had last week, reference it, the team here is working on it and working to put a plan together with some recommendations, with the talking points that we had. And then, as you know, this week, before we get to our anniversary on the 20th of December, we'll also have a meeting to ensure that we get the mill pay training stuff straight. So a lot of opportunities out there, and I want to emphasize again the operational training environment, because I think that's one of the areas, right?
Yeah.
To your point, not everyone learns by the seemingly PowerPoint slides. We call them the UPKs, but there was the opportunity to go into the system and use that operational training environment to do hands-on training. I don't think we took enough opportunity of that, but sir, to your point, the team for sure did, a great job with pivoting. We still provide some over-the-shoulder support is what we called the training that we went out there. We do training during the G1, S1 touch points that HRC hosts on Wednesdays. So a lot of different venues to do training, but we're getting to the point that we also, along with this reinforcement training, we need the field to start owning the system. This is, as AG professionals, this is your system, and you need to help people on your installations learn how to use it. Get those experts, find that specialist, find that the soldier that knows how to use the system, and get them training their peers.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things that we have in our core right now is that, S1s and G1s and all those folks have lots of work every single day. It's hard to like zero in on training, but we know we got to do it. And so this next 2024 and this reinforcement training is really meant to zero back in on that whole population, and let's just get after it again. So then, use whatever you've had over this last year or 18 months, but we're really going to reinforce kind of that training and spin at a 2024. I think a much more competent team and core in how you do this business. So I'm really optimistic, but that's one of those areas that we need to buckle down, I think, Chief, as we go. What else from the first year?
Well, I would like to, before we run out of time, I would like to say my turtle story, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Say my turtle story. Okay.
Here it comes.
So, and it goes back to it goes back to that what had happened in the last year and what could potentially happen in the next year, right? So last month, October, November, I went on vacation and I had the opportunity to watch the release of about 600 turtles. So when they release the turtles, they dump them in the sand, right? And you can see how some of the turtles quickly, as soon as they hit the sand, they just start just going forward and just walking as fast as they could towards the ocean. And then you have some of the turtles that accidentally end up flipped, legs up in the air, and they couldn't do anything, but they were just moving. They were trying to move, but they were not going anywhere, right? And those, we told the person that released the turtles, is like, hey, that one needs help. And he went in quickly and flipped back the turtle, and then the turtle kept going to the ocean, right? But then you got the other little turtles who were just landed on their four legs and didn't move. They were not dead. They were just not moving. And then you got the turtles that you flip them back up, and they were just not moving until the person goes and pushed them, and then they moved a little bit, and then they stop, right? So what's the so what of this? It depends on, that's how we started, right? I was one of the turtles that went really fast, and then a wave came over and flipped me on my legs because they needed a query, right? I thought I had it because I had tabbed how to pull queries, because that's my thing, right? I like to pull queries. I like to pull data. But somewhere along the line, the UPK wasn't there for that, and I couldn't find the notes. So when I went into IPPS-A, I couldn't find the button to get to my query. So I called my lifeline, right? Chief Harris, Chief Vance, and they helped me out. So they flipped me back up. I'm the little turtle, flip back up, and then I start going again, right? So it is up to us to figure out which turtle we want to be, right? You could be the one that just kept going. Sometimes we're going to need some help. So we call out, all our fellow folks. I know I had not Sergeant Southers out there. He helps me a lot too when I'm flipped back up. Chief Fulton at the Forces Command, Manny, and there's a lot of people out there that help me sometimes when I'm, up with legs up in the air like a little turtle. They help me out, but it's up to you which turtle you want to be.
Yeah.
You could be the one that just keeps on going, gets flipped, needs some help, and gets pushing, or you can just sit there and no moving. IPPS-A is going to keep on going, and like I say at the beginning, IPPS-A is the train, and it's moving, and it's not going to stop, so get on it or get left behind.
Yeah. No, thanks, Chief. I don't know. I think that beautifully tells us what things look like, in the first year in a lot of regards. So I want to thank you for laying that on. Now I can't give up the opportunity to talk a little bit about the first ID, right? The best division.
Yes.
In the Army, the Brigade one, and
Rock
again.
of the Mar.
I know. You're a 3ID person.
I don't know. They're like tropic lightning.
And you got some tropic lightning.
We got different ones.
Yeah. Some of my favorite players are everywhere else. But hey, so on Omaha Beach on D-Day, right? First wave goes up onto the beach. The first wave gets kind of caught. right? They're taking just tremendous fire. They're taking upwards of 70% casualties. And second wave is coming in. There's a couple of, small group leaders, NCOs, lieutenants, even soldiers really trying to get folks to move forward. And, there's a colonel running around on Omaha Beach, and he essentially says this too, and this is going to take your turtle story and turn it more operational here for a second. And he says, hey, he's screaming this, right? Because the sound of battle and everything is all around him. He says, hey, there's two kinds of people who are staying on this beach. And again, they're on Omaha Beach. We got to take the beach. But to take the beach, you got to get off the beach. So he says, hey, there's two kinds of people who are staying on this beach. It's those that are already dead and those that are about to die. So we need now to get the heck off of this beach, move forward. And of course, right, the bro did that. They took the beach and they got off of it. I think we're kind of at that point where, hey, we're about 3/4 off that beach right now. We are 1 year in. Hey, the system is working. We got to do some tweaks, but we're about to the point where we just got to get off the beach. And then once you're off the beach, guess what, folks? You win the frickin' war. Yep. The war is done. Because once we got on into Normandy, off of the beaches, the Germans were pretty much, it was only a matter of time. Their game was over. Well, for us, it's like, hey, we as a Corps are accepting this right now, and we're going to focus and more focus on just our competency and our skills and how we do this. And so we're going to take that beach, and then we're going to fundamentally help change the Army. So for me, it's just, it's an honor to work with you two. I think what we'll do after this, because I know we're at time, we wanted to do this about 30 minutes today. We'll do a few more outtakes, because I know, Becky, we have quite a few things that we know we want to kind of improve on, and we want to talk to the team out in the Army about. And then also highlight a little bit about what's coming in 2024. So we'll take some outtakes from this session and do that. But I want to give you two the opportunity. I'll pass it over to Becky first if you want to close us out a little bit, Becky.
Yes, sir. So, I would like to add, so we talk a lot about CRM, the customer relationship management. For those who may not know, one of the options for a CRM ticket is an enhancement request. So a lot of the updates that we have done that have been big ticket things for the Army in the last few months and stuff going forward have been because of feedback that you provided. We request that you continue to provide the feedback because we are better together. So as much feedback as you can provide, the better we can improve the system. When you talked about auditing, sir, one of the things, we've improved the access request recertification. Now, it might be a little bit of grumbling in the field because it's like, why do we have to recertify every year? But if you look at any of the other major systems that the Army has, and to meet the congressional requirements for auditability, you need to do that access recertification. So that's out there. We've, did simple things like improving and adding spell check. So when you're writing an award, the awards blocks, they'll spell check for you. We've done stuff, mentioned the IET soldiers and absence requests. We've approved mass approvals for absence requests. So not just at the AIT locations and, IET population, but out in the force. You can do mass approvals for absences, looking at block leave periods. They'll have that there. We've added functionality to the monitor approvals so you can do more information on the personnel access request. We've added absence analytics. We've quickly been able to react when we've had any sort of defect or something that didn't go right with the system. Within a day or two, be able to reverse situations that we might have. We've also been able to react to law, regulation, policy changes. For example, getting all of the new absence requests types into IPPS-A. When you're talking about the parental leave and reproductive health, those things were not in the requirements when we were building out the system. They came in at the last minute, but we were able to get them added so people could could use them. And then, throughout this year, we've got the PAI coming up in starting in February, March timeframe. But before that, we have some data cleanup and to get after the G1's top priority of accounting for the Army. So, I would just like to say also thanks to our USAR and Army National Guard teammates for the support that they provide, because their system also, so they're using it and providing feedback to help that total force as we move forward.
Yeah, no, thanks for that rundown. I mean, obviously there's a lot going on as we move into 2024, including upgrades to how strength is done, how some of the analytics is done, even workflow, pay items, you name it. There's a tremendous amount of upgrades and fixes that will go into the system that will help all of us. And as you said, hey, the senior leaders' focus, General Stitt, that one of the Army's focus is really help strength management and the management of all of our people in our units. That very, very core function for us HR folks in the Army. But not to forget the talent management stuff, right? The profile and KSBs and the ability to execute the market is coming too, and that's coming.
Yes.
That's coming to a theater near you.
Yes, for sure. That is a big one that I definitely just missed. By the spring, we will pilot for the active component, the marketplace. And looking towards subsuming it, so we will no longer use AIM 2 or ASCM. It'll all be in IPPS-A, making that strength piece much easier as we pull in the market, so we can pull in doing all of the products required to get through the
everything.
Assignment windows, everything. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
No, hey, so folks out in the field listening, I mean, you can't find anyone else that works harder than these two ladies. They've just given their life and soul to this project, it seems. And they help soldiers every single day. So for me, it's just, I feel lucky to be around them, because it's, this is really good work, and it's really all for the right reasons for soldiers in the Army. And, you two, I got to give you some public props here. You two are just kicking butt and doing all the right things for the Army, and so we owe you a lot. Chief, floor is yours here as we close out.
Well, just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I am truly grateful for this because it allows me to speak to the force and to thank everybody, warrant officers, soldiers, NCOs. I learn from everybody, so I appreciate it. Be on the lookout next year, 2024, Enhanced Personal Records Review, PRR. Again, all the analytics, it doesn't matter how you present the information if it's wrong, so we need everybody's help, right? When was the last time you check your records, your soldier's talent profile? Going to IPPS-A, check everything. And if you see something wrong coming up again, end of this year or next month, when new release is coming up on the 11th January, we're going to publish handy dandy job A / how to with the regulation behind it, and it tells you exactly what to do, where to send it, and the why, the policy, right? Don't forget the policy. We got to overlay that policy on top of the business processes. And IPPS-A, right? Just because you can do it in IPPS-A doesn't mean that you're supposed to do it, right? And we're going to leave it at that. But yeah, I appreciate it, sir. We got a lot to go, but we have accomplished a lot. So very proud to be here. And I thank all my warrants. High five out there. I love you all. That's all I have, sir.
Yeah, and keep after it, warrants, right? We've been able to solve a lot of things with the, I forget what you call yours, the super team, the ninja team, the
Supercell.
The Supercell.
Frustrated Simon Supercell.
Yeah.
High five.
I think just silent professionals too is a good way to lay out. Super thanks to all those folks that have leaned into and just helped. I'll circle with, hey, so there's a lot coming in 2024. And we all need to lean into this, right? This is our system. It's the Army system. Let's continue to lean into it. hey, if you're an NCO out there, lean into training your troopers and your soldiers. We need to do that consistently, aggressively, all the time as we build our skill sets. I'd ask that you all continue to help each other. So even if it's not fully 100% your lane, you know, hey, you're in a G1 or you're in an S1, but the MPD is struggling a bit, you know, all of us working together is a good thing, and it benefits soldiers at the end of the day. So I would say, hey, we all get better together, and just keep focusing on how do we get our work done, how do you support each other, and at the end of the day, how do you take care of people? So with that, I'll sign off from this episode 7 of TAG Talks. Really appreciate your opportunity, or my opportunity to talk to you out in the field. As always, we are available all the time to support you. Just reach out to us here in the TAG or on our social media sites at the Adjutant General. So you can find us out on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. But look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great day.